How ESL is changing in American schools. By the middle of the 19th century and into the beginning of the 20th century, the opportunities in the United States had increased multifold. Millions of immigrants flocked to the United States in pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Most immigrants wound up in large cities, living in ethnic neighborhoods with other immigrants of the same nationality. In such an enclave, a working knowledge of English was not necessary to survival. Immigrant communities wished to both retain their cultural traditions and participate in American life, and America, having been built on the belief that all men are free to do so, did its best to be accommodating. Bilingual or non-English instruction popped up in both public and private schools across the nation, depending on the culture of the local population. French was spoken in Louisiana, for example, Spanish in Arizona and New Mexico, etc. The Naturalization Act, passed in 1906, was instrumental in mandating the knowledge of English in America. The act required that all immigrants must be able to speak English in order to become naturalized citizens of the U.S. In 1914, the Ford Motor Company started an in-house English program for its employees as part of its controversial $5 a day wage program. In order for employees to garner the full wage, they were required to meet certain standards of living. By the mid-1920s, most states had instituted English-only instructional policies in both private and public schools, which was essentially a form of submersion education for immigrant children. Adult immigrants struggled to learn English on their own in order to gain employment, conduct their daily lives, and eventually become a citizen. It was not until World War II and just after the United States began to recognize once again the importance of foreign languages education and cooperation with speakers of other languages, which naturally led to a greater interest in ESL education. During this time, 1950s to 1980s, linguists and educators put a lot of effort into researching language learning and language teaching, producing a variety of ESL teaching methods that are still used, at least in part today. The continued interest in teaching ESL in schools has been met with support from state and federal budgets to fund for public schools and adult basic education programs nationwide.